Here on a beautiful, sunny, spring-like day in Erie County, Ohio, or it was an hour ago anyway. My name is Jason McClure. I'm the Vice President and General Manager at Cedar Point, and it's my privilege to welcome you today to the groundbreaking of Sports Force Parks at Cedar Point Sports Center. Very excited for what's to come in this space. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind venue along the shores of Lake Erie with the great Cedar Point skyline as a backdrop across the bay. There's going to be no better place for folks to come and play than to come and play in Erie County. And what's really exciting about this project is the true community partnership. And you could tell today the leadership of Erie County that came out to support us in this event well exceeded our tent capacity. And it's great to see all the leaders out here today to support this. This is a true public-private partnership, and it's going to really leverage our resources here in Erie County in a sustainable, long-lasting way. So very excited about having you guys here today. And now I'd like to introduce Cedar Fair Executive Vice President Duff Milkey.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. It is a spring day. I want to make a special welcome to the baseball teams from Huron, St. Mary's, and Perkins, who are living proof that you can play baseball in Northern Ohio in April. So thank you guys for that. And welcome to everybody, and thanks for coming out today to celebrate the commencement of the construction of this sports park. We come at a time when it's a very exciting time in Erie County when you think about all the things that are going on, not just this project, but many others. Yesterday, Civista Bank broke ground on a new branch. Kroger's store opened. There's work going on Route 250. Matthews Ford's remodeling. The Holiday Inn Express on Causeway Drive, the revitalization of the city of Sandusky and the leadership that's been shown there and the hope and promise for the future. And of course, in a few weeks, Cedar Point will open its 18th major roller coaster, Val Raven. And so all of these things point to the growth and development of our community, which I think we can all take a great deal of pride in. I think we've turned the corner by working together. And I think the key elements of that, in order to do that, it requires leadership, as Jason mentioned. We have all these folks come out here today. Many of you are the leaders of this community that help to make these things happen. And I think as we look into this, there's really four key elements to making these things a reality. You have to have vision, you have to have collaboration, and you have to have persistence that's fueled by enthusiasm for the project, and finally you have to execute on that vision. And I think this project that we're about to embark on has had all of those elements. And I just want to mention a few of the people and entities that have been involved in that. On the vision side of it, a few years ago, Marcy Captor came out and gathered together all of her constituency along the Lake Erie shore and asked the question of how could that area identify itself to be like a Chautauqua, that people mentioned one word and they knew what it was all about and what all its assets were. That was a germ of an idea that people then began to discuss and talk about that materializes itself in what we're here to do today. And then Matt Ouimet, our leader at Cedar Fair, who has always given us license to achieve and also to interact with the community in a way that we haven't done before, to bring it to its full potential and to bring ourselves to our full potential. And his vision to come in and allow us to do that and then to apply it to this particular project and his work at Disney and in the wide world of sports and how sports tourism and sports facility can marry itself with an amusement park fun experience, and it can be family fun in the name of competition, was a big part of what got this started. And then in true kind of small town community fashion, how this first got its germ of actually coming to fruition was my daughter's friends with Pat Chenego's daughter, and I dropped her off one night for a sleepover, and Pat came out on the sidewalk, and I immediately called Gene and said I wouldn't be home for a couple hours. And so in any event, Pat and I talked, and he mentioned the idea of a sports facility in Erie County that had been talked about, And was that an idea that maybe Cedar Point could get behind to help bring that to the community? And as Pat and I talked, I mentioned to him Matt's vision and the work that we had been doing. And I said, I thought that was definitely something that we could take into consideration and move forward on. And Pat then introduced us to Sports Force. And I will get to those guys, Brian, in a little bit. But he introduced us to Sports Force, and this kind of took on a life of its own. And through that process, what we recognize is that the community had already undertaken many steps to make itself ready. LESI, Lake Erie Shores and Island, through the leadership of Greg Hill, had been studying this issue since as early as 2011 and had done a study that came out in February 2012 that said a sports facility in Erie County would be feasible. And so that's an important part of the project because the community was ready to take on the opportunity, and without that kind of foresight and the action, it wouldn't have been ready. We couldn't have had the conversation at the depth that we did. And then, of course, the introduction of Brian Storm and Jim Arnold and their vision of what you see up here and what will happen out there, and their belief in our community and study in our community really is a key ingredient to the vision to help bring this to life. And so you bring all that together, and then you have to collaborate. And the Erie County Commissioners, Bill Monahan, Tom Farrell, Pat Shenego, were open to the ideas. We had many meetings early on, took their counsel as to how to build the community spirit behind this, and obviously we couldn't have got this done without them. And then LESI, under the leadership of both Greg Hill and Jude Hammond, and the local hoteliers came together to support the utilization of the bed tax to provide the necessary funding to construct this asset that will bring visitors to this area for many years to come. The Erie County Metro Parks, Don Myers, Kurt Langefeld, Amy Moore, who had an option on this property, but the funding mechanism for it would have turned it into a prairie, which would have been a good natural resource to preserve it, but they had the vision to see that we could have both. We could have a sports facility, and eventually we'll have 40 acres out here along the lake under the stewardship of the Metro Parks that will be for the benefit of the entire community. The Sandusky City Commission, Mayor Dennis Murray, City Manager Eric Woobser, and the rest of the commissioners provided a great deal of support to this. Perkins Township, Tim Coleman, Gary Boyle were very instrumental and helpful in bringing this to life. You can't do it without all the governmental entities. And just to stop there for a second, we erased political boundary lines to make this happen. And I want to say that again. We erased political boundary lines to make this happen. It's almost like this was the perfect spot for this because we're standing on a piece of ground that's in Sandusky, Erie County, Perkins Township, and Huron Township, and we found a way to make it work. I think that's an example for the future that we should all take away from this. And then just the internal people, Majid Maklouf, who is our legal counsel on this, helping out, and more than that, an invaluable thought partner. Majid was the former law director for Cuyahoga County. He brought a tremendous amount of knowledge to how to structure this thing in a way that would allow us to make it work in a true private-public partnership, and so I wanted to acknowledge that contribution. Cedar Point, Jason McClure, and the CP team have embraced this. As Pat was chiding Jason, this is your park. You got to handle all the complaints, and yeah, Brian was more than happy to allow him to do that. And then Cedar Fair, I've already mentioned Matt and his encouragement and support for this project. A special mention to Rob Decker and his team and the hours of time that they've spent helping with the design of the project and making sure it fits, that we can balance both Sports Force's vision and our vision. Lisa Broussard and Leah Lexicos, who have been invaluable partners to me. And then last but not least is Senator Randy Gardner. When we had this project come up, one of the things that the county wanted was we wanted to maintain the capacity to do other projects as they came down the road. And in order to do that, we needed to bump the room on the bed tax. And we went to Randy, who has been a supporter of Erie County and tourism in the state of Ohio for many years, not just on this project, but on many, many projects. And anyone that knows Randy knows that he's a champion for our area and a champion for tourism in our state. And he spearheaded the effort to get the necessary state legislation passed, which provided the latitude for the county to proceed with this project, and we thank you very much for that. And so just in a few closing remarks, vision and collaboration are important, but without persistence and enthusiasm, you just have an idea that never comes to fruition. This project has required persistence. As I mentioned, Leslie had undertaken a review of the introduction of a sports facility as early as 2011, and here we are 5 short years later realizing that vision. And as I've told Brian Storm many times, that he should take the adage of Benjamin Franklin, that in fact patience is a virtue. And we've had many discussions about that, and here we are today. And so we're poised to break ground and execute the plan and the construction that will bring this vision to life. We're very happy to have Sports Force as a partner in this endeavor throughout the process. We have been able to develop a strong partnership with them that will provide the foundation to allow for a successful construction and operation of this facility. The community will also need to continue to embrace the project to overcome the obstacles that will naturally occur in any endeavor of this size. The community has embraced this opportunity, and I think the power of collaboration is evident here today as we break ground. We are excited to get the project underway and to begin to realize a vision of what is possible in this county and on this site based on a public-private collaboration and the cooperation among the many entities who have worked to make this reality. We need to recognize that today we are breaking ground not only on a new facility, but on the development of a new market segment, sports tourism, that promises to bring even more visitors to our area who will quickly discover all that we have as an area to offer as a premier vacation and tourism destination. And that is the possibility that's before us today. So, I will now introduce Brian Storm, who's the man who will get the construction of this facility in place, and thank him publicly for all his patience and persistence. And now we get to dig. Brian Storm.
And they said, you'll follow Duff. How can you do that, right? It's a great day to be in Sandusky. I can tell you right now, we are so happy to be here. Our company has been coming to Sandusky for a number of years, looking at various sports opportunities, and we're finally going to move this project forward with the help of a lot of people. So let me first say thanks. Thanks to the community, as Duff said. It's the single most important vehicle that moved this project along. I want to thank the Cedar Fair people, all the team at Cedar Fair, Matt, Duff, Jason, everybody involved. Senator Gardner for his help and belief in the project, right? The Erie County Commissioners, big tall order to take on, big task to take on, and they believed in it, and we're moving forward. They supported growth in the county. Lake Erie Shores and Islands, your commitment to help move this forward is greatly appreciated. Last but not least, I want to thank my own Sports Force team and Fields team. We've done a lot of work to get to this point, collectively and individually. And today is the fruition, the coming of all of the things that we've worked on very hard over the last 3-4 years. This project will accomplish a number of things. First of all, it's going to bring more visitors to this beautiful destination. It will enhance what already exists with the various attractions here in the community. It'll provide jobs, bring in additional tax revenue, and it'll provide some community service as well. Youth sports is a market that our company is focused on for a number of reasons. 3, sports, family, and fun. That is our tagline in our company. Our company has been fortunate enough to be involved in the sports business at all levels of the game. Whether building a field for an NFL team, a Major League Baseball team, the NCAA, colleges at various levels, or a field makeover for a boys and girls club in a community of your choice, we build them all with the same exact quality. The fields in this park will be built to professional standards. What about families? Families from around the country, not around the neighborhood, around the country, will gather together to be involved in sports and enjoying all the other amenities the park and this area has to offer, and there are a lot of them. And fun. Really, everything's supposed to be fun. Today is fun, building will be fun, opening will be fun. It's all about fun. Fun is what the park is all about. We are an area well known for its fun. Would you agree? Absolutely, right? Besides bringing visitors to this destination, this park will be a place where kids of all ages come together to play and compete. Lessons will be learned, and lifelong friends will be made. Families will gather, enjoy fellowship, and make memories. Adults and children will both have great fun. Isn't that really what this life is about? That's what it's really about. So from the start of our mission, it's been to create a sports park of distinction. That's another tagline on our company. We build sports parks of distinction. And this park will be a world-class facility and a flagship park for our company, our partners, and this community. So thanks for coming out. We appreciate your support, and we celebrate this vision becoming a reality. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Brian. Please join me in welcoming Ohio State Senator Randy Gardner.
Well, thank you. It's a tremendous honor to be here today. I love serving as your state senator, and especially on a day like this when we celebrate what we can all do when we work together. I do want to say something quick about Duff Milkey. He was already in my remarks, but I learned even more about how astute of a community leader and an employee of Cedar Fair he is. Could you move over just a little bit, Snoopy, that direction a little bit? Now, I asked him beforehand, I said, which one of these fields is going to be Milky Field? He said it's still under negotiation, but I think Wilmette Field comes first. I think so pretty smart, Duff. But let me just also recognize my partner in the state legislature for this region, who's been over here, in fact, was over here yesterday, is back today. I think he's coming back Monday. State Representative Steve Arndt. Steve, say hello. Doing a great job. As I said, today is a celebration of what we can do in Erie County when we work together. Today is the kind of day when the word potential doesn't work anymore for this county. The word progress does. And I have to quote Urban Meyer today. Some of you who follow Ohio State football know what Urban Meyer said recently about the word potential. This is a quote. After you've been here 6 months, if you're tagged with the term, you have a lot of potential, that's really a bad thing. That means you're not very good, but you should be. Well, when Duff Milkey talked to me about this project, yes, it was a little bit about potential, but he said this project was going to be considered for Erie County and wanted to know what I thought. And I think the very next day, or maybe later that day, I get a call from Commissioner Shenago, pretty much the same message. I said I would help if I could, but it wasn't going to be my project. It wasn't going to be my agenda. It had to come from the community. It had to have the support from the business community, the community leadership, the governmental leadership. But it was basically the same message. This project has a chance to be a game changer for Erie County. So I listened and went to bat for this area in Columbus because it was Erie County's vision, Erie County's project. So we are standing here today because Erie County really came together to support something important. Our legislative work, which enabled the commissioners to take the lead and make this happen, really was because of additional community leadership to turn potential into real progress. So I think it's time that there's so many good things happening, and I know Mayor Murray is here today, other local government officials from the townships and municipalities around this county, so many positive things happening that really, really make a difference. But the person who first talked to me about this, and I know has been a real driver on this and working through even amendments in the state budget bill last year, was Duff Milkey. So Duff, if you could stand up here 1 minute with me. I'm going to present to you, kind of on behalf of all the leadership, but this is a lapel pin that I've worn on the Senate floor, and I want to give this to you. Now, sometimes at events like this, I make the person promise that they can't get so excited about the Senate that they want to actually run for the job. But I got to thinking about it. This is probably my last race for the state Senate. The filing deadline's over. It's okay with me if you do. So, but regardless, you deserve this. Duff, thanks for your leadership.
Thank you
I appreciate
very
it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
All right, great. Thanks, Randy. And now, please join me in welcoming Ohio State Representative Marcy Kaptur.
Thank you so very much, Duff and Cedar Fair, our wonderful commissioners, Monahan, Arndt, and Chenago, for your driving leadership here in Erie County, creating its future to the sports force that is actually going to shape the future. I think I'm here to verify that there used to be a Griffing Field that sat here, which I actually used and remember. So it's great to see, as Senator Gardner said, progress. Progress here in Erie County again. What a tribute to all of you. And Duff mentioned an idea about branding a region in creating a destination that has coherence. This is a part of that story. It's part of America's story. And I was thinking as you were talking, as we think about coastal Ohio and all the tremendous assets and what Cedar Fair has done over the years, the word Frontierland came to mind because that was always my favorite section of going up to Cedar Fair. Anybody remember that? And it reminds me of discussions that I've had at the national level when I look at the hotel room rental here in this region, 800,000 rooms a year. And we are about to experience probably 200,000 to 300,000 visitors a little bit west of here in the refuges, the federal wildlife refuges at Cedar Point and Ottawa in a few weeks. Some of those folks may already be here. And I started thinking about our country, which is part of my job most of the time, and our continuing efforts to get the U.S. Department of Interior to brand our region America's First Frontier, the Northwest Territory, and to tie together the tremendous interpretation that exists in this most abundant region for those who are hardy enough to live in it for 4 seasons, but to think about what we are working on right now, which may fit into your plans in some way, starting at one of the 10 most visited federal national parks in the country, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park in Cuyahoga, that now has, through a canal system, the ability to move tourists up to Cleveland and to an area called the Flats. And then to think about our coastline from Indiana to Pennsylvania, this entire region, and think about a way of weaving together interpretation that would draw visitors globally, as we see happening at some of our parks. Let's take Denali, which one word draws people to a place with very large mosquitoes, I can guarantee you. Ours are much smaller. And but where there is a sense of settlement and of history and of many experiences that people have when they travel there. And we have to think hard to present ourselves to the world as America's first frontier, even convincing our own country that sites east of the Mississippi River are as important as those that are west. And so Cedar Fair, your investment here, the sports force as a partner in this, the county commissioners with the tough political decisions that were made in order to have this land converted to new use. I have seen sports complexes in other parts of the country that are just subscribed all the time, and we know the power of tourism and we know the power of sports. So I'm just here to congratulate and to only ask you to continue to think about linking to other assets along our coast and what we can do to present our part of America in a more whole form to the future than perhaps those who resided here in the last 3 centuries. I also want to say to the mayor of Sandusky, Dennis Murray, it's great to see you here. I don't think I've ever come to Sandusky when you weren't present. That says a lot. And to know how much you care about this community and how much your family has given and continues to give to this region. Thank you so very much for allowing me to congratulate all and to hope that through the U.S. Department of Interior, through its Land and Water Conservation Fund, and through those who are planning the future of tourism, including ecotourism, will make sure that Erie County and this complex and the Metro Park that will be on its perimeter will be included, and maybe Frontierland should be part of our brand. Thank you so very much. God bless all.
All right, thanks again. I want to give one last thank you to Cedar Point's own most accomplished and prominent superstar athlete, Snoopy, who's helped out through the presentation. Thanks, Snoopy. And now it's time to get to work. So some of you have work assignments. If you're assigned a shovel, please get over here and start digging for us. We'll need work now. And anyone else that wants to move over for our groundbreaking event, appreciate it. Thank you for coming out today.